The results of a new feeding habit survey has revealed that mothers are more likely to breastfeed their babies than new mums 5 years ago. That's despite the fact that mums are more worried about breastfeeding in public than ever. Now with me is Vicki Scott, baby feeding and wellbeing advisor for Philips AVENT, who conducted the survey. Vicki, first of all, why are more women breastfeeding?
I think one of the reasons is that the benefits of breastfeeding are just becoming so much more widely known now. Lots of research has come out in the last sort of 10 years or so that just really promotes breastfeeding, and so that lots of mums are picking up on that now, which is fantastic.
So why are they actually concerned about breastfeeding in public?
I think partly because it's such a new skill, and it does take a few weeks to get established anyway. So, when you do first go out in public and you're breastfeeding in public, it's such a new thing to be doing. So it takes mums a while to get used to it. Also, public perceptions as well. I think that can make mums feel uncomfortable. It's not as socially acceptable or accepted as it could be, really. But I think the more mums that do get out there and do it, and certainly there are lots of places now where breastfeeding is easier to do and to feel comfortable doing, which is a great thing.
How should mums cope when babies breastfeed one day but they refuse to feed the next?
Yeah, that can happen. A few different reasons, things like maybe baby's teething, or there's a thrush infection that can cause it to be uncomfortable for baby when they're feeding. Also, maybe mum's eaten something the day before that's made the milk taste strange to the baby, so that puts them off. But I think definitely just, again, try and sort of be relaxed about it, encourage baby to feed, but if not, certainly expressing milk, or using some milk that you've got from the freezer, that if you've maybe expressed and frozen that before, we'll get over the strange tasting milk anyway.
We hear about some mums whose babies want to feed every 1 or 2 hours. How should they go about coping with this?
It's really important anyway, in the first sort of week or so, that mum lets the baby feed really frequently. It's so important for building up a good milk supply and getting breastfeeding established. But after that, I think some babies do like to snack and then have a little sleep and then have another snack an hour later. And I think if mums can maybe keep their babies awake as much as they can, for sort of half an hour or so at least, maybe an hour, and encourage the baby to take a good feed, then that's quite likely to help the feeds to spread out a little bit.
Now that's the baby's feeding, but what about the parents feeding? Do mums tend to eat more whilst they're breastfeeding?
There is a tendency to have a better appetite because the breastfeeding uses up about 500 calories a day at least, so it's quite normal to feel more hungry. So mum should definitely give in to those, that need for an extra sort of few snacks a day. Yeah, definitely.
And should it hurt when the milk is coming down?
It can do, but only in a really small number of women. That, in my experience, letdown often just feels like a sort of tingling or pressure, but some women have felt it really quite strongly and have even gone so far as to say it's painful, but that doesn't always carry on for the whole of breastfeeding. So yeah, it's possible that it could hurt a little bit. Do
you think there's actually adequate support for mums who wish to breastfeed?
There is a lot of support, but I think part of the problem is that mums find it difficult to locate the support. You have to really go looking and ask the midwife and health visitor sort of maybe what's provided in your area, and have a look at different sort of voluntary groups of breastfeeding support as well. So there is lots of help out there, but it's a case of how mums can find it. But there are lots of fantastic sort of motivated midwives and breastfeeding counsellors out there. But mums can also maybe do some reading around on the subject and maybe a couple of books that they can read up on, and maybe even have a look at a DVD. Philips AVENT have produced the Baby and You DVD that shows a mum breastfeeding and expressing, talks around some of the issues involved, and there's even information on weaning and sleeping on there as well as how to use all the equipment.
Do you think that breastfeeding also gets more difficult with subsequent children?
I would say in the majority of cases it's actually easier because mum's got that experience of having breastfed the first baby, and that's so important for helping her to feel confident, and also her body's done it before. So I'd say for most women it's a whole lot easier the second time round. But each baby's different, so some mums with a second baby do find it trickier, but that's less likely.
Finally, one just general piece of advice that you give to a new mum about to start breastfeeding, considering starting breastfeeding, what would you say to her?
What would I say? I mean, go for it and expect it to take, it can take a couple of weeks. It's a new skill to learn after all, so expect it to take a couple of weeks to really get that established. And just feel confident. You can produce a lovely baby, why shouldn't you be able to breastfeed it as well?
Vicki, thank you very much indeed.
Welcome.
Having a new baby can be a steep learning curve for many new parents, so hopefully this has answered a few questions and made your life just a little bit easier.